Hey everyone, I'm Rob from Acterra, Action for a Healthy Planet. And a while back, I met up with Nite Yun, a legend in the food scene and an incredibly talented chef. I had the opportunity to hang out with her at her Cambodian restaurant called Nyum Bai, where I learned more about her story, the culture, and the cuisine. She even cooked up some climate-friendly Cambodian food using plant-based ingredients in an induction hob. I hope you enjoyed this video of my time spent with her. Be sure to like and subscribe, and reach out if you want to see more content like this. What are some flavor profiles and ingredients that someone may find in Cambodian food?
So I always tell people there's two main things in Cambodian food that you'll always find. If they're not using prahok, which is a fermented fish paste, it's not like a classical Cambodian dish. And there's another ingredient that we use, it's called kreong. Kreong literally translates to ingredients, but it's basically 5 ingredients of herbs that you smash together to form our mirepoix. Okay. And that's basically like lemongrass, galanga, shallots, lime leaf, turmeric. And so you chop that all up, either put it in a food processor or like a mortar and pestle, and you create this paste. So with the hope, the fermented fish paste and the kreong, you combine that together, and then that truly defines like Cambodian flavor.
So where I live, we have a few Cambodian restaurants, and they also typically serve Thai and Vietnamese cuisine as well. Is Cambodian food very similar in flavor and texture as these other cuisines? And if not, how does it differ?
There are overlapping ingredients for sure, just because we're like neighboring countries. It's so hard to describe the difference in Cambodian food, but once you try Cambodian food, you'll know the difference in terms of the subtlety and like our curry. Like we don't overdo it with like sugar. Like I know 2 things that separate us from Vietnamese cuisine and Thai cooking. It's just that we use a lot of funk in our cooking, hence the fermented fish paste. Sure. And our mirepoix, the lemongrass paste, is what makes the flavors very distinct. Mm-hmm. We do eat a lot of fish. We use our hands to dip veggies with like funky sauce and things like that. We don't use a lot of Thai chilies or like chili in our cooking. People assume that Cambodian food is very spicy, but it's not. When it comes to heat, we prefer using peppercorn instead. I feel like Cambodian cuisine is it's something that you just have to try, and then you'll just oh wow, there's a huge difference in like Thai cuisine and Vietnamese cuisine. There's this balance of like sweetness and salty and bitter and like freshness and like crunch. It's like a lot of things going on.
And so I want to talk a little bit about her menu. You have some amazing options to pick from. I also noticed there's some options for people that may be vegan or vegetarian or just want to eat more of a plant-based kind of diet or meal. Was it hard to adapt like traditional Cambodian food in a plant-based format? It seems like there's oftentimes a lot of like fish paste, fish sauce and so forth. How do you get around that?
I mean, I thought it would be a challenge, but I started to experiment. Like our curry, for example, it's like our #1 selling dish, but it's completely vegan. And I think this is because of the main ingredient that I use, which is the kreong, the lemongrass paste. It has so much flavor. With that and some chili paste, you can cook it down so it can get really aromatic. Yeah. But also with a combination of coconut milk, because it's so fatty, and then all the spices we use for our curry powder really elevate the dish as well to make it like this deep, rich curry, which is vegan. But then again, like other Cambodian dishes, you can just use a lot of citrus minus, the fish sauce to create like the fish sauce dressing. So it became quite easy actually. Like the stir-fry dish that we do, we use like soy sauce instead of fish sauce. Like we add extra garlic just to make it even more flavorful. And then we love that crunch, so like there's fried shallots. And then also to make it even like deeper in flavor, we would add fermented beans to this sauteed green that we do. Lime juice with like sugar, vinegar, soy. It creates so much depth in like the dishes without animal product.
Check it out.
Hey, so today I'll be making a dish called cha ban lai. Cha ban lai literally translates to sauteed greens. Today I'll be using pea tendrils. My mom would use morning glory or water spinach, but I couldn't find any, so I decided to use pea tendrils. We'll start by turning on the induction burner. I don't have to wait for it to get hot because it heats up pretty fast. This is about a tablespoon and a half of oil. I like to use canola oil, grapeseed oil. Wait for that to get kind of hot. And then here I have minced garlic. I love garlic, so I put a lot. You want to hear that sizzle when you're cooking with the wok. That means the temperature's hot, it's correct. So you want to stir the garlic so it doesn't burn. Yeah, it's really important to stir the garlic because it has a lot of sugar content. It will burn quite easily. Saute that until it becomes very aromatic. Okay, it's like a nice golden brown color. So from here, I'll add some salted bean. This is basically fermented salted beans. Put that in, saute that with the garlic. Smells delicious. And then you want to add your greens. Throw that in. At this point, everything cooks really fast. I'm gonna move that around a little bit. I have some water here, so we can just cook the tendrils down. It already smells delicious. And then at this point, I'll just let the tendrils cook, get the flavor going, and then I'll add some soy sauce. I like to use Golden Mountain soy. It's such a universal seasoning sauce. Instead of salt, I'll use the Golden Mountain soy. Do like a few sprinkles there, and then just a touch of sugar. And then once the tendrils are wilted and cooked down, your dish is basically ready. And there you have it. Do a little taste. It's delicious. All right, and then now I'm gonna plate this. Bring it over. The sauce, you just drizzle that over a bowl of rice. And then I have some fried shallots. Just sprinkle that right on top. That is our chap and lai, our sauteed greens with salted beans and fried shallots.
So I feel like music that is being played at restaurants is always really underappreciated, and the harmony of like the right song and great food just really elevates that dining experience. And I know Nyum Bai kind of has this theme around 60s Cambodian psychedelic rock. Why did you choose for that to be part of the concept of your restaurant?
It was so obvious to me to have Cambodian 60s psychedelic music be part of the restaurant, because if people know anything about Cambodia, it's either the genocide or the Angkor Wat. Like when I envisioned Nyum Bai, it was a space where people can celebrate Cambodian culture. And so that's why the golden era, where the music came from, was such a big theme in this restaurant, because I want people to remember the good times. There was this moment in Cambodia, there was this awesome art scene, hence like the amazing music, and also to celebrate the artists in this time where everything was, carefree type of lifestyle, and like art was thriving. So I really wanted to capture that in this restaurant by playing Cambodian rock and roll music.
I love that. And I notice on Nyum Bai's Instagram, you occasionally post a specific song that I'm sure you're playing at the restaurant as well. Are there any artists or songs that you recommend we check out?
If anyone's like a fan of Cambodian psychedelic, you'll definitely know like Sensa Simot, Bandron, or Rosa Sutia. Those are like the 3 top singers during the golden era that we know of. Maybe there's artists back then too that were as big as Sensa Simot, but maybe we just don't know about them because the music back then was all destroyed during the war.
And was that the same case for recipes and some of like traditional Cambodian cuisine? Was some of that forgotten during the Khmer Rouge?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I listened to some interviews with chef that cooked for the royal family. Like all the recipes that they had in the royal palace is all destroyed. Even like recipes that you carry like with memories, like the people, the aunties or the grandmas that lived during that time either passed away during the war and they didn't have the chance to pass it down. So it's, you know, even more special now to be able to preserve like Cambodian culture,
Sure.
food and music. Like when I moved out to the Bay for school, I couldn't find like good Cambodian restaurant. I mean, there are Cambodian restaurants, but most of the time it's like Thai with Cambodian or like Vietnamese with Cambodian. So it's never like a true Cambodian restaurant. And so I just find myself craving like food I grew up eating. And so from there, I would call my mom up for like recipes, try to like make it at home. When I started my pop-up, you know, it's definitely inspired by the food I grew up eating, but also a way to celebrate Cambodian culture through 60s Cambodian rock and roll. That's the two main inspirations behind Nyum Bai.
So Nite, what are some of your earliest memories with cooking and developing that love and passion for food?
I was always in the kitchen with my mom, actually. I don't know what I was doing, but I grew up in a one-bedroom apartment. So, and then I had two brothers. They just hung out with each other, and so I just find myself hanging out with my mom in the kitchen. And so that just kind of happened naturally, me learning how to cook or just prepping with my mom. But that led to me being curious about a lot of things, you know, regarding Cambodian food.
And I know you have a relationship with the nonprofit La Cocina. Can you tell me how that came about?
Oh yes, La Cocina. I have such good memories with them. When I first moved to SF, I went to San Francisco Street Food Festival, and I was like at awe with this. Like they turned the Mission District into this big food festival, and I learned that La Cocina was behind this, you know, this crazy street party. But I also learned that they're a food incubator where they help nurture low-income minority, non-immigrant, like immigrant women with low income to start their business.
Wow.
And so I thought that was really cool because they would like seek all these like, you know, chefs that are like operating from their house, you know, making like the best pupusas or the best burritos. But I heard it was also a very competitive program to join. And during this time, I was, you know, doing underground dinners in my apartment in the Mission District, and my friend kind of encouraged me to apply for the program. Long story short, I applied and they loved what I was doing, and so they convinced me to apply for the program by tricking me to cater a board meeting.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, because they knew I was so nervous. Yeah, the following week I got a call thinking that I got someone sick, but instead, you know, they accepted me into the program. And so with the help of La Cocina, I was able to like gain more confidence in my cooking. I had like more resources in growing my business, opportunities to network and things like that.